This psychological trap destroys trading careers, and this is it. The trap is traders are never able to walk away on top. I've watched some of the greatest traders in the world fall for it, and you will too if you don't know how to stop it. The first reason why traders fall for it is that real behavioral change generally tends to only occur at rock bottom. I had seen so many other traders blow up that I had a self-awareness that I didn't want to be one of them. I had made $100 million over 15 years of trading, and everyone told me to keep going. I was the furthest thing from rock bottom, but I wasn't going to fall for the trap. I had got my bag and I was done trading my health for wealth. The human brain is fundamentally designed to preserve behaviors that are producing reward, status, pleasure, or emotional stimulation. As long as the current behavior still feels good enough, the brain has very little incentive to deeply reassess it. This is one of the biggest misconceptions people have about discipline and self-improvement. They assume humans change logically. Most of the time, we change emotionally. Pain is what changes behavior far faster than wisdom does. That's why addiction researchers often describe hitting bottom as the moment where the cost of continuing finally exceeds the emotional payoff. The alcoholic doesn't quit after the fun nights. The gambler doesn't quit during the heater. The trader does not usually walk away after a record year. Why would they? The brain is currently receiving dopamine, validation, excitement, and social reinforcement. From the brain's perspective, the behavior appears beneficial. Evolutionarily speaking, humans are designed to repeat behaviors that appear rewarding. And this is exactly why most traders never seriously think about walking away while they're still ascending. During rapid success, almost every psychological feedback loop is reinforcing continuation. You're making money, people respect you, your confidence is rising, and it's a better lifestyle. Your whole identity becomes stronger. The market is rewarding your behavior, so your brain interprets that as evidence you should keep going. You might have even felt this way after a few good trades or a strong month. It becomes very difficult psychologically to step away from something that appears to be working. The second reason why nobody quits while they're on top is because human beings are wired to move the goalposts. We adapt to success incredibly quick. The thing you once dreamed about eventually becomes your baseline, and once it becomes your baseline, your brain immediately starts searching for the next level. This is one of the oldest psychological traps in human history. The pursuit itself never really ends because evolution programmed us to constantly seek more resources, more status, more security, and more advantage. You see this everywhere in life. The person making $50K a year thinks life would be solved at $250K. The person making $250K thinks freedom starts at $2 million. Then the person worth $20 million compares themselves against somebody worth $200 million. I mean, look at this picture from F1 Monaco this past year. Every yacht owner there is probably jealous of the person next to them. The target constantly moves because comparison and adaptation are deeply embedded into our psychology. Researchers call this the hedonic treadmill. No matter how much your circumstances improve, your emotional baseline eventually resets and you start wanting more again. Trading magnifies this tendency to an extreme because performance is quantified every single day. There's always another P&L milestone, another hot market, and another trader making more than you. Because markets are competitive environments, ambition becomes this self-reinforcing thing. Once somebody proves to themselves they can make $1 million, naturally they wonder if they can make $5 million. Once they make $5 million, now they wonder about 20. It rarely feels like enough because enough is not actually a fixed number psychologically. I can tell you firsthand, this is very real. You think there's some magical number where your brain finally shuts off and says, okay, we made it, time to relax forever. Most of the time, that moment never comes. Your lifestyle changes, your friends change, and your expectations change. The brain normalizes it incredibly quickly. The thing that once felt unimaginable slowly becomes ordinary. That's why traders who already have more money than they could ever realistically spend still continue pushing themselves into stressful, high-risk environments. It's not always greed in the cartoonish sense people imagine. A lot of the time, it's complacency and just pure momentum. The third reason is another psychological bias, anchoring to one's P&L high watermark. Let's say a trader grows an account from $200,000 to $5 million during an incredible run. That peak account value now becomes psychologically embedded in their brain as their money. Even if a huge portion of those gains came during unusually favorable market conditions or if they were unrealized. The problem is that once the account pulls back, maybe down to 3.5 million or 3 million, the trader no longer emotionally feels wealthy. Instead, they feel like they've lost $2 million. That shift is incredibly dangerous because humans hate losses far more than they enjoy gains. Behavioral finance research consistently shows losses create disproportionately strong emotional reactions. So now the trader isn't calmly trading the market anymore. They're emotionally fixated on getting the account back to the high watermark. Every trade becomes psychologically tied to recovery. The brutal irony is that the larger the account once became, the harder this trap becomes psychologically. A trader who once saw their account at 10 million may emotionally struggle accepting life with a $6 million account, even though that amount is objectively life-changing wealth. Their reference point has been distorted upwards. And because the mind anchors so heavily to peak values, many traders would rather risk catastrophic damage trying to recover the old peak rather than emotionally accepting to operate below it. Another massive psychological bias traders fall victim to is extrapolation bias. When things are going incredibly well, humans naturally assume the recent trend will continue far longer than it realistically should. In other words, during periods of rapid ascent, traders become least likely to worry about blowing up because their recent experience has conditioned them to expect continued success. This is deeply wired into human psychology. Our brains heavily overweight recent information when predicting the future. If the last 6 months have been euphoric and profitable and seemingly easy, the mind starts to assume and treat those conditions as the new normal. The trader begins projecting the current environment forward indefinitely. Risk starts feeling smaller because recent outcomes have repeatedly rewarded aggression rather than punished it. This is why some of the most dangerous moments in trading happen during peak confidence, not peak fear. During hot streaks, traders often feel untouchable. Every dip bounces, every setup works, and every risk gets rewarded. So you slowly stop associating aggressive behavior with danger because there hasn't been recent negative reinforcement. In behavioral psychology, rewarded behavior tends to repeat and expand. So naturally, traders begin increasing their size and they loosen their standards and they push harder right when risk is building underneath the surface. It's one of the most dangerous traps in trading, and I talk about how to fix it in this video. So watch it after this one. So in other words, so few traders walk away while on top because a whole series of psychological biases are seducing us into continuing the game, even if it means we're putting everything at risk. We've seen this all the time in crypto world. There's so many crypto traders that were aiming for the moon and ended up blowing up. Even Kwalamagi, in the recent Market Wizards book, despite being one of the greatest traders ever, he suffered a massive drawdown when he reached the $100 million milestone. It happens to even the best because we're all human. Now, you might be wondering the same question I caught myself thinking about. If evolutionarily, humans are supposed to be designed for survival, why is it that traders consistently engage in behavior that's financially and emotionally self-destructive? Why doesn't the brain's preservation system protect traders from blowing themselves up? In my opinion, it's because the brain became incredibly good at solving short-term survival problems. Trading, however, is a completely unnatural environment evolution never prepared us for. In markets, many behaviors that feel evolutionarily correct are actually disastrous. For example, when humans experience reward, status gains, or accumulate resources, evolution generally wants us to pursue more of it because historically, more resources increase survival odds. So when a trader starts making a lot of money, the brain interprets that as success, safety, and increased status. Dopamine reinforces the behavior and pushes the individual toward continued pursuit. Evolution does not distinguish between healthy pursuit and destructive overextension. It simply rewards behaviors associated with gaining more resources. Another huge issue is that the brain struggles to emotionally process abstract future risk. Evolution heavily prioritized immediate threats over long-term probabilities because immediate threats were more urgent for survival. That's why traders often emotionally underweight the possibility of catastrophic blowups during periods of success. The future downside feels so distant and abstract, while the current reward feels immediate and tangible. There's also the issue of intermittent rewards hijack the survival system itself. Variable rewards create stronger behavioral conditioning than predictable rewards, because evolution rewarded persistence in uncertain environments. Imagine ancient humans foraging for food. Sometimes effort paid off massively, sometimes not at all. This same dynamic is what powers social media and makes it so addictive. The humans that are most motivated to continue searching, despite uncertainty, were more likely to survive. And trading also activates this exact circuitry. Randomized financial rewards trigger deep pursuit instincts that were originally designed for survival. And ironically, once traders accumulate significant wealth, evolution can actually work against preservation rather than support it. So from a survival perspective, status and resource acquisition were never supposed to stop. We evolved under scarcity, not abundance. Our brains are much better at pursuing more rather than ever knowing enough. That's why traders who already possess life-changing wealth often continue taking enormous risks anyways. So what can traders actually do to avoid all of this? The solution is not trying to eliminate human psychology. You can't. The solution is building systems that protect you from yourself when your emotions inevitably become vulnerable. The first thing traders need to do is define enough before the success arrives. Write it down and make a promise to yourself that you will not move the goalposts. This is unbelievably important because if you don't consciously define your stopping points, your brain will unconsciously move the goalposts forever. Humans are so bad at determining when accumulation should stop. You need predefined rules. At what net worth would you reduce risk? At what account value would preserving freedom and health matter more than squeezing out additional upside? If you do not answer these questions early, ambition and momentum will answer them for you later. Second, traders need to separate identity from P&L. This is one of the biggest killers. The moment your self-worth becomes tied to your account balance, you are primed for disaster. It truly is so hard to care so much about trading while also not letting it become our identity. Part of this means having outside interests and outside relationships that are more important to you than the work. Family. The healthiest elite performers maintain an identity outside the market entirely. Third, traders need hard risk constraints that cannot be emotionally overridden during hot streaks. This is critical because your brain becomes least trustworthy precisely when things are going best. Hot streaks inflate your confidence, they suppress your fear, and they distort how you perceive risk. That is why professionals use strict max drawdowns, daily loss limits, position sizing caps, and they have rules of when to delever. It's not because they're weak or they're scared. It's because they understand that human psychology deteriorates during euphoria just as much as during panic. Another thing that helps enormously is periodically withdrawing money and converting those gains into tangible life improvements. One reason why traders become desensitized to risk is because numbers on screen stop feeling real. But when profits get transformed into long-term investments, a paid-off home, financial security for your family, the money regains emotional reality. Traders who leave every dollar exposed indefinitely often lose perspective on what they already achieved. The final thing, and maybe the most important, is understanding that survival itself is an edge. Longevity, like I discussed in this video, is an edge. The trader who compounds steadily for 20 years destroys the trader who burns bright for 3 and implodes. Markets will always provide more opportunities, and great traders eventually realize the goal is not to maximize every dollar possible. The goal is building a life where success is actually sustainable and enjoyable. So why do I think I was so lucky to be able to walk away while on top? First, at Trillium, I was fortunate to have become their top trader in back-to-back years and set their all-time annual P&L record. At that point within the firm, there really wasn't another level for me to achieve. It felt like I had beaten the game. There was no other place to keep moving the goalposts to. I think that was extremely beneficial for me. Another couple of key factors were that I've really spent a lot of time trying to program myself to feel like I have enough. In fact, one of the reasons why I find giving back is so important to me is because giving back to others in need gives you perspective. It helps you reframe your worldview so that you realize that what you do have is enough. One final huge factor is that over time, I became more and more acutely aware of the health costs and sacrifices I was making to trade at that level. Health and relationships are my #1 priority, not money. That framing is what also helped me walk away. I really enjoyed making this video because it took a lot of deep thought and reflection. And this is a subject that I've actually never seen discussed before. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.